Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Culture Geek Network. I'm your host, AJ. I've got my buddy here, Trent Tucker, one half of the show Geek Off the Street. Um, Thank you for coming on, Trent. How's it going, man?
Dude, thank you for having us, man. This is yeah, thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here, man. It's been a long time
Of
coming.
course, man. Of course.
Yeah.
How was did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I did, man. I did. It's my long weekend. I get 3 days off every other weekend, so
Okay.
yeah, got some chores done, got some errands done, but hung out, had some good.
Yeah, I had this was my weekend off. This was my Monday off, so we kind of talked a little bit off air. I think we have similar. We both have jobs that allow us to have the every other day off, every other either week off of a day. So
Exactly, yeah.
that's always nice to have. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. But it always goes too fast though, because now it's about to be over.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you. I know we talked about it a little bit off air, but LA Comic Con is coming up. You guys plan on coming through or what?
I would be honest with you, man. Probably not. Probably not, man. Because I know we talked about it a little bit off the air, but I think I went. I think we both went maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and like parking was $80. It was like it took me 3 hours just to get into the con, and then it was so sandwiched in there, so like a sardine can walking around. So I think I stayed for maybe an hour.
Yeah,
met a couple creators and I left, and then I think Mark probably stayed. He stayed a little bit as well.
Speaking of Mark, hey Mark, we're live. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Oh, did he freeze? I think he froze.
Okay, I don't.
We can't hear you, Mark.
Can't hear you, man. You gotta change your your settings, man. Can you hear? You can hear us? Yeah.
Oh, man. Let me remove you and try to, I guess, fix your audio. When you get back on, I'll add you back on the show. All right. Okay.
Oh wait, did you say? Oh no, never mind.
No, I think he's frozen still. Yeah. But yeah, you guys try to get into LA Comic Con.
Yeah, we did, and then we have been, now that we've been kind of been around for a couple of years now. We're able to get like press passes, and we just kind of missed the boat of applying for them on this one. But we had them for Ontario, the Comic-Con Revolution in Ontario.
Right.
It was just a couple of years. I think 2 years in now, so we got them for those. But and we got into Comic-Con also with some press passes 2 years ago, which was
really
awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so that was but we just kind of missed the boat on the press passes for like Comic-Con. So now we're just kind of spoiled. We're like, we're not going unless we get press passes. So
yeah. Hey Mark, can you hear us now? I don't think we'll keep him on and hopefully his audio will work.
Yeah, the being cut. Yeah.
How did you guys get? I'm curious to know, how did you guys get press passes for San Diego? Because that's very difficult.
Yeah, so I gotta be honest with you. How the press passes for those? We have a friend. He does a show called the Geek Speak Show, and he's been kind of one of the older shows. He's been around for the last like 12 years now doing his show.
Oh, okay.
And he's been doing the Comic-Con circuit for a long time, so he actually was able to like kind of bridge that to the people on the inside for us. So it got us into the system. We got our passes kind of the first time we signed up, which is unheard of. And that's probably the worst thing to say. Everyone's probably been waiting forever to get in. but yeah. But yeah, so we definitely we got lucky for sure on that one. So,
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be honest with you.
But you guys didn't go this past year though, right?
Yeah, that was again just us like poor planning, man, because we were already in the system and we could have signed up for it, but we completely missed the sign up date, and by the time we had realized it was already too late to go. So
oh man, yeah. So I don't know. Well, since I know you guys, your registration is a little different than like someone like me, the general attendee.
Mhm.
But so I don't know if you're familiar, but like those who have gotten passes, there's a a queue for like returning attendees,
Yeah.
and then there's another queue for like people who want to go for the first time or whatever, right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So I went last year. I've gone every year for the past few years. Um, this year, the returning tickets went on sale this like 2 weeks ago. But because there's such high demand because they only allowed a certain amount, right? And it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's randomized of whenever they pull you
Oh, okay, I got it.
to the queue. So by the time I got on, I actually had all 4 days, but I was trying to get my buddy's his username and his last name so that I can get him a ticket.
Hmm.
But it kept saying like we can't find him, we can't find him. So
Oh.
eventually I kind of gave up. But because I was doing that, I was only able to get Thursday and Sunday.
Oh, wow. Oh, oh,
Yes.
yeah, right. Okay.
So Friday and Saturday, the two most demanding days, sold
Mhm.
out. But now I have to go wait for October 26th when they have the general sale for everyone to try and get that Friday and Saturday.
Oh, got it. Oh man, that's a process.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've never been. I've been here my whole life in Southern California for the most part. I have never gone to Comic Con. That's like the only con I haven't gone to. So I didn't really know like the process of having to go. Um,
But you said you went like 2 years ago, right?
yeah, that was the first time I ever went. Was that time?
Okay.
Yeah. So I never went as like a attendee or anything before. So my first time was going as press.
Let me ask you then. So
Yeah.
I know you've gone to cons prior to that, but going to San Diego, were you prepared for like how crazy it was and how
Uh,
big it gets and how crowded it was? What did that surprise you at all?
no, well, here's the thing, because we went. It was kind of the Marvel Studios wasn't there, so there's really no Hall H. It's kind of like that return, that post COVID kind of return.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the first time they had since COVID, so I guess I was told that it wasn't as bad as crazy as it usually is. So I know that I went in prepared to be kind of sandwiched into this thing and this kind of go mentality, but it was kind of relaxed, kind of felt like WonderCon to me, to be honest. But I was just it was the post COVID one, so I think there's a lot less going on that year.
yeah. I would say this past year, well, even that year, it still seemed pretty packed. But this past year, it felt like it was back to normal.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
bro, pretty crazy or what?
yeah, but it was manageable. Like it was crazy, but here's the thing. Usually, like I try to get everything that I want to get done Thursday and Friday. Well, Thursday and then most of Friday, and then I try to not do so much on Saturday unless I absolutely have to, because Saturday is when that main floor is just so packed with people.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But it just seemed like it's packed every day now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even Sunday seemed a little. It seemed packed, but it's not. But it was manageable though. It felt like packed, but not like to the point where like I couldn't walk around.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
it's kind of hard to explain because I before it was literally like you're a sardine and just kind of like
Yeah,
walking very slowly trying to get to where you're at. But or maybe I'm just so used to the convention and knowing my way around and like not trying to walk through the main aisle and go through the outside until I need to get to where I'm at.
yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what it's gonna look like for real. Yeah,
So you guys are gonna go this? You guys are planning to go this coming year?
yeah. We're planning for sure. We're gonna have it. We're planning to go. We'll see if we can make it happen again. If
Awesome.
not, we'll try going as attendees. But yeah,
Cool.
is he back?
Mark, can
Nothing?
you hear us? Oh man, I cannot. I don't think his audio is.
Yeah,
No.
no good. He can hear us.
You can hear us, but we can't hear you.
I hear you.
So
yeah.
I think your audio on the mic or something, man.
Something to do mic or your settings. Yeah, I think maybe you gotta change your computer settings to like your audio is the mic. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I had to do. So
Well, let's just keep going on with the show until hopefully,
Yes,
Mark. We're gonna keep going on, and you stay on as much as you can, bro. And once you get your audio, we'll definitely jump you back into our conversation here.
yeah.
But Trent, let me ask you, man. I know that you guys are your podcast, YouTube show, Geek Off the Street. How did you guys come about with that? And what made you want to do the show?
So I'm gonna make up all kinds of stuff because Mark can't talk and defend himself right now.
Oh wait,
I
think we can hear you laugh.
Oh, you heard that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, there we go.
all right. There you go. There you go.
Okay, let's start everything over from the top. From the top.
As soon as I go to start insulting you,
Right.
it works now.
That's what I was like, no.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, so am I. But no, we had started in March of 2020, I guess. Was it? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
2021. Yeah, we're about to hit our 4th year here in March, and we so pretty much I was talking to you off the air about our old host RJ. So I've been friends with him since high school. He got me into comic books. And kind of became a dangerous obsession after that. And then so we had always had a connection with comic book worlds and that kind of stuff. And then a couple years later, I ended up meeting Mark at our job. Like at our old job, we used to work for. You worked for Amazon. I don't care. We worked for Amazon.
For Lord Bezos.
The Lord Bezos.
Don't you besmirch him.
Yeah, and I think it was like my first week there. I ran into Mark in the food on lunch. And I think the first thing we talked about was like Doctor Who or something. And I was like, oh, this guy's cool. So, yeah. And then
first thing is Cupcake.
Oh, was the Cupcake? Okay.
So give me that punk. So I kind of that's the dynamic of our relationship. Unfortunately.
Okay. So, right. Yeah. He's a real bully.
I'm a big bully.
Yeah. I'm just a pushover, but yeah, that's so we met Mark then, and then I moved away for a couple of years, and I came back, and me and RJ we were like, we need to do something, we need to get something creative going, and then we just like we need a third person. I think we need another host to kind of add in the dynamic, and I was like, what about this one guy? And then we're like, oh, he's not available. Let's just go with Mark then.
This one guy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and so yeah. And we pretty much, and then we just kind of combined our love of geek culture, and we just kind of, because we're all from kind of semi different eras, of comic books and that kind of stuff, and the geek world and everything else. So it just kind of worked, man. It just kind of we just came together, and it kind of immediately, like I think, clicked that this was the right thing to do. Yeah.
Right. Mark was telling Trent off the air that I really like you guys' podcast because there was a time where I envisioned something very similar to what you guys do with the drinking and the talking about geek stuff, right?
Right on.
But I don't, like I was telling him, I don't have the logistics because I have friends who like to drink, but they're not really big on the geek culture stuff. Right. And then I have friends that are like into the geek stuff, but either they live far away or they don't drink. So I'm like, I can't combine that world that I wanted. So I told Trent I'm living vicariously through you guys.
Hey man, as you should. Even better, come on down. You don't have to live vicariously through anybody. Come on down, man. Let's get on the show.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sure we can set something up for sure. I'd love to come on, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah. You're not very far from us either. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can come be nice.
You know what though? But hearing what you said about having friends that are not into geek culture but that do drink and kind of vice versa, you don't have like that perfect mix. That can almost be your angle too. Like having someone that's not into geek culture, have them, you kind of explain in a sense to them, this is what makes this cool. And they're like a lay person. You know what I mean? They could be, they could represent your audience, someone that's fresh into geek culture.
Yeah.
They would be living vicariously through them. That would be their way into the culture, is through those people that don't know anything.
I thought about that too, but then I'm just like, sometimes like for the longest time, like my closest friends that I went to college with, they knew about my passion for like all the comic books, toys, things of that nature. But there was always like, I'm pretty sure they would laugh at me at certain things, lovingly they would laugh at me because they didn't understand it,
Right on.
But they respect that I have that passion,
Yeah. No, I think we've all got friends like that.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about that in the past too, like, just what it was like in, back in the day to be a geek, you know what I mean? To be a fan of this culture. Like it wasn't looked upon necessarily as the coolest thing in the world. You have your friends definitely, but it's a whole different world now. It's a whole different monster. So what wasn't cool 15 years ago, now if you know it, you are cool. So it's funny how that works. But I hear what you're saying, laugh lovingly.
Yeah.
Like, that's just his thing. Let him do it.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what it is. Like, that's his thing. Just let him do it. He's not hurting anyone, like whenever we want to talk about, like, I also like the fact that I'm maybe like the pop culture guy in that group, in that circle of friends. So they know that like, they can, I could talk to them about pop culture stuff. They'll just kind of nod their head. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. That's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, it is, right? And they'll just like grin and laugh. Like, yeah, sure.
See, I figure you're probably the guy, like if you guys are ever at a bar and you have like that, the trivia contest kind of thing, or those games. Yeah. You're the one that they want on the team. You're the guy that's going to know stuff.
Oh, so speaking of bars, I was at a bar with some friends of mine. This was years back, and one of the waitresses, and I was, we had already had a few drinks, and I was a little loose, and I saw one of the waitresses. She was, I guess she was on her break, and we went outside to get some air. And I see her out there reading a comic book. It was one of the all new X-Men, the Brian Michael Bendis run, when he brought back the X-Men from he brought them to the present day, right? So she's reading the comic book, enjoying the stuff, and I'm like looking at him, oh, you're reading comic books. And then just being a jerk or whatever, I said, why do you only read the big two? You're only reading the big two, And one of my buddies, he's like, what are you talking about, big two? What are you doing? I'm like, she's only reading the big two. And then, they were laughing at me. They're like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about with this big two thing. She's only reading the big two. I'm like, but we know that's Marvel and DC, right?
Right. And now she's warped, and she never went back to comic books. She was
yeah. But yeah, so going back to your guys' origins. So Trent, I was looking through your social medias. I know that I asked you a little bit off air. It looks like you're a filmmaker. Mark, I don't know anything about like your history of how you got it.
No, I'm a big old ninja like that. No, you know what the thing is, and one of the, again, especially talking about the origins of, doing the show, is I've always wanted to, like kind of write, create. I've always I had a natural talent for drawing, art and all that kind of stuff. I was always into comic books, like from day one as a kid. Right. And so for me, I've always had I think probably most people that do read comics for any length of time or anything, or that are into science fiction or whatever, you start to come up with your own stories, and you start to, I've always been a big movie fan. I've always been into classic movies. I've been, watching those movies from the 30s and 40s since I was like,
Oh,
8 years old kind of thing. So a huge fan. So I've always had a big love for movies, for the science fiction, comic book culture, but I never did anything with it. You know what I mean? Like I always had the ideas, always had like, this is what I'll do one day kind of thing. And just one day turned into 1 year. Then, this happens, that happens, you put it on hold and it wasn't going anywhere.
right.
So when Trent came to me with with this concept, Trent and RJ, when they came to me with this idea, I was all in for it.
Oh man, yeah, I think you froze.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Yeah, the train can keep passing you by. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's this joke that it goes like, there's this guy that was waiting for a natural disaster happens, right? And he says, I'm gonna pray to God, God's gonna save me. So some guy comes by in a car and he says, hey man, get in the car, we're gonna get you out of here. So no, it's okay, God's gonna save me. So the flood keeps getting higher and higher. So he a boat comes by and he says, hey man, get in the boat. And he said, no, it's okay, God's gonna save me. And then he has to get on the roof, and then an airplane or a chopper comes by and said, hey man, get on the ladder, we're gonna get you out of here. No, it's okay, God's gonna save me. Flood keeps getting higher and higher, guy ends up dying, goes to heaven. He's like, God, why didn't you save me? So what are you talking about? I sent a car, I sent a boat, I sent a helicopter. So it's that kind of thing. It's like, if I don't do something now, or if I keep putting it off, then when am I going to do something? And
Right.
Not to be too, wax poetic, but that first journey starts with that first step. And that's what this was for me. I think maybe for, Trent in some sense too. Trent's always been a, creator, but yeah, that's what it was for me as far as, my origins with the Geek Off the Street.
Are you guys so with Mark you wanted to write, and Trent, you're a filmmaker, so have you guys just like thought about like writing a short film, movie, or anything like that?
Well,
Yeah.
we're not quite supposed to be talking about it, but we started working on a movie. So
I saw that's on your is that on your Trent Tucker IG?
It might be on the Trent Tucker IG. Yeah, I think it's on there. I posted about us starting to work on that. We've been trying to write this movie together, trying to see if we can take our interest to the next level here.
Yeah.
Okay.
RJ too. RJ's working with us on
RJ's
that.
working on it. With
Oh,
us,
nice.
So so we just we're still trying to write the movie, but it's going pretty well though. Yeah, we're excited about it. We're not talking too much about it because I hate throwing things out there and then them not ever getting done. So
Right.
But I think we're on the right track and we're still kind of pushing forward with it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely not kind of put any spoilers out there quite yet or whatever. But no, I mean, we're very excited about it. We're thinking about all the different directions, all the different things that we need to do, not just with writing the movie, but with getting cast and crew and locations and getting all that stuff figured out. So no, this is we're taking it very seriously and putting it out there, like we are right now.
Right.
Right. Help keep us more accountable. You know what I mean? To help us stay focused.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
At the very least, if it doesn't work out, then we'll know when to quit and not work together anymore.
Hey, listen, even like no matter what, when the film comes out, that's one thing that like not a lot of people say they can do. They can't say I made my own film.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, exactly, man. No, we have a good friend of the show. One of my longtime friends. He's a writer now, and he self-published 2 books already, man. He said the same thing. He's like, yeah, I'm not a famous writer. I'm not getting paid for this, but I can say that I wrote a book. So like when you guys make your movie, you can say that you made a movie, and how many people can say that?
Right.
Yeah, not a lot of people can say that. And I mean, like, I mean that just, I mean, when you were going to like cast and crew and all that stuff, I mean, you don't like things like that. I wouldn't even know like how to go about doing that. Not to mention getting the funding and figuring out all that stuff. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just writing and shooting a movie and showing it to everybody. It's that's the smallest part of it. I think is that
Yeah,
part, and everything
yeah,
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
Is all the other stuff, which is not always fun. But
yeah. Because you almost like once even once the writing is done, it's like you want to high five and like we did it, and then just kind of like
like
no, okay,
10%
no,
of the project.
you just
Yeah,
got started.
yeah,
You just got
yeah.
yeah,
started.
That's
yeah.
step one of like the 10 steps. You know? Yeah.
Um, Mark, I was also talking to Trent off air. I got to give you guys props on the studio that you guys have because I'm like that is an amazing studio with the backdrop of all the statues and all that stuff, man.
Yeah, that's a funny thing is that's where I was trying to set up from, but the internet connection I think was is terrible in that room. So yeah, and I tried like hooking up Kate. Yeah, I won't bore you with the details. Clearly, I'm not the IT guy of the of this group, but no, we love it too. And when we were putting it together, because at first we were, we kind of did some of the filming at RJ's house, which was cool. And then we actually rented space somewhere, and we were doing our shows there. It was a lot of work going there, like every weekend, setting up the lights, the mics, setting up all the equipment, doing the show, then breaking it down. We had to be out of there by a certain time, just because we had it at an allotted time. They worked with us 100%. They were very accommodating. It's a place called Fourth Sector Innovations. So whatever we needed, they kind of worked with us, which was great. But it just got to a point where we had to have our own space where we could have the equipment set up, where where we could set up the great display that we have in the background. So once we started putting that together, and we built it ourselves. So once we started putting like the shelves together, it's like before we even finished setting up all the shelves, I was already like loading things up on the just like we had like 2 shelves done.
It's
like,
2 of the 6 shelves. Mark already started unpacking his stuff.
I was already loading stuff up, man. I just couldn't wait, and it's exciting.
We gotta build 4 more shelves, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, like calm down, man. Yeah, but Trey knows that about me. Like when if he ever tells you our story about the first convention that we ever went to together.
That's a good story. Yeah, second that story, AJ.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I like I was telling you earlier, I started going to cons in 2004, right? And I figured out the process, how to not overspend, how to enjoy it, how to see everything.
Right.
Basically, and then so when me and Mark started hanging out, back in the day, we started hanging out, and I told him, I was like, hey, let's go to the convention, man. You've never been to a convention before. You're a big geek, man. We should go. So I took him to, I think it was WonderCon, and we showed up there. I was like, okay, dude, before we go in there, here's the plan. You go around the whole con, you pick out the things you want, make a note of it, and then you compare and contrast, and you come back and get the top one that you want.
Right.
Mark's like, okay, that's a good plan. I trust you.
Makes sense.
We go in there. We go to the second booth. It's a sword booth, yeah. And then Mark buys 3 swords on the spot. 20 minutes. And then that's not even the worst part. The worst part is like, well, if you're gonna buy stuff, I want to buy stuff. And then we just both started buying every single thing that we saw that we liked, and it was just all day. And then Mark was just like, hey man, you know what? Treat yourself. That was his catchphrase.
Yeah, that was.
And he's like, when you're on your deathbed, you're gonna be like, man, I wish I didn't buy that keyblade,
Right.
And I was
it was. That
so
was definitely.
Mark taught me that day. He taught me that day.
Right. But I will say, in all honesty, I was all on board with like, okay, this guy's been to these cons. He knows what he's doing. Let's go walk around. I hadn't been before. And as soon as I walked in, like the second booth, it's like, what's that? Give me all those. So I think there were keyblades and I can't remember all the
Naruto
stuff
swords and stuff. And then the guy was like, hey, you know what? If you buy more and you want to just leave them here, you can come by pick them at the end of the con. And Mark was like,
and I was like,
you don't gotta tell me anymore. I'll take 5.
Right, this guy gets it. This guy gets it.
Why not? He's like, you got to spend money with me anyways. I could do you solid and just
yeah,
hold you guys' stuff.
There.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's a good time.
I was talking to Trent, and 2 years ago you had gone to San Diego. I want to know, Mark, what was your opinion going? Oh well, the way Trent said it, it was the one of the ones coming back from COVID. But did you still have? Were you still entertained by? Had fun with San Diego Comic Con? Oh man, I think Mark froze again.
Listen again. Oh man.
I think Mark legitimately froze. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not pretending either. I don't think.
All right. We'll move on to the next topic. So I've got you guys' origins. One thing I wanted to ask you guys, being big anime fans, I don't know if you got to see the message I thought we could talk about.
Yeah.
The gateway drugs for anime. For someone who's never watched anime and you're trying to introduce them to anime, what would be your guys' top 2 to 3?
Oh man.
And why?
I've been thinking about it, and it's been pretty tough for me to kind of to kind of put those into place. But I don't know, Mark. Do you got a couple you want to go with? Or?
So first, I think that's a fantastic question, but it's always going to depend on the person, right? So if you're talking about, for example, like friends, he has 2 girls. That I don't know why I did 2 girls like this, but he's got 2 girls, and they're both like pre-teens, and they're getting into anime. And he asked me what would be a good thing to watch. So I think it kind of depends on who's asking you what to start watching. If it's an adult, someone that maybe is a little more analytical, a little more conservative, you want to go smart about it. I think if you're talking to someone that's like a teenage boy, you got to take that into account too. But if I was going to recommend some, I think one, maybe Spirited Away as a first one, or anything from Studio Ghibli.
Okay.
Or Ghibli, whatever you say. I would recommend anything from that because one, it's all around. It works for everybody. An adult can watch that and be entertained by it, and a child can watch it and be entertained by it. So that one is basically everything they make is basically perfect.
Right.
Some personal choices, I would say one might be Death Note.
Okay.
Very cerebral, but man, such a fantastic, back and forth, and it kind of at one point it doesn't turn out the way you think or you want it to turn out.
Right.
And the story keeps going. So Death Note's a great one. Attack on Titan. I still love Attack on Titan. That hooked me immediately from the very first episode. The whole concept and what they were dealing with was phenomenal. If you haven't seen that one, that's one of those things that you want to, if you are into anime, depending on how old you are, it's not nothing for kids necessarily.
Right.
But that's one you definitely want to watch. And then for me personally, one of the things that got me back into anime was a movie that came out back in maybe the late 90s. Yeah, I think it was mid to late 90s was Ninja Scroll.
Wow. Sorry to cut you off, but you've got two of my 3. So
yeah, nice. So Trent, you got to get 3, and you can't say my same answer. So not that it's a competition,
there's no way I'm not going to even get. Yeah, I wouldn't even be able to tell you which 2 you just said that are his. So.
I'll say it was. So I'll just go since he's named 2 of my 3. Ninja Scroll.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Death Note. And I was hemming and hawing, and I was like, you know what? In college, I was watching Dragon Ball Z and what was it? Gundam and Endless Waltz on Toonami, right?
Oh yeah. The Endless Waltz. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
And I'm pretty much aging myself, but I remember going to college, and then after like class, I would go to my friend's apartment, and it just so happened those were the shows. I think Dragon Ball Z is a little too that's the easy one. That's the easy one to get, right?
Right.
But I would say Endless Waltz, Gundam Endless Waltz.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, that was a great that series, because I mean, obviously there have been a
Gundam Wing.
ton of Gundam series,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that one was really good.
Yeah, Gundam
And-
Wing is etched, man. It's etched in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I try to watch other Gundam like miniseries or shows, but it's never been as good as like Endless Waltz.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, I agree.
I can dig it.
Yeah. I guess I'll jump in here a little bit. Man, this is a tough. I'm gonna be the opposite of Mark and just be like completely selfish and just say
Nice.
what I
Go
like,
for it.
and this is what I'd say to you. Not taking into account who they are. But I'm just going based off like my like experience with anime. So I don't watch a lot. I haven't watched a lot of modern anime. We only started because of the show. Really, we tried to like.
Oh wow.
We tried to incorporate a lot of modern anime because we how popular it was. I wasn't even aware of how big it had become until it was pointed out to me by you guys. So I kind of was watching anime like Gundam Wing, Dragon Ball Z, like Inuyasha, that kind of era of anime.
Right.
So and I kind of fell off it probably in like 2010, that kind of age era. So
Yeah.
I think the last thing I watched was like Fairy Tail. I just couldn't get into it. And I was kind of done with anime after that. But I would say like the kind of the biggest, like my favorite anime is probably like Full Metal Alchemist. Probably Brotherhood.
That's Brotherhood was good.
Yeah.
Brother, like I watched a little bit of the first one, and then when Brotherhood came out, I was like, dude, this was so good.
Yeah, that is a very good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think just from the story, the characters, like how interesting and how creative it is, man. It's such a good show. Like that, I'd probably recommend that one for someone who wants, maybe not necessarily someone who, I guess, okay, now I'm going back to what I'm saying, but somebody who's not super into like the anime type. I think this show is a little more story driven and character driven. Lot less
I
of
think
anime tropes.
It could probably hook you though.
Yeah, I think
I feel like that show is so, it is very well done.
Yeah.
So that might be one of those things that you could show basically anybody. It's not too gory. There's no, sexualization or anything like that. It's not bad. It's got there's some tragedy in it, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the Chimera episode still scars me to this day, man. I can't.
Horrible.
Yeah. But yeah, Full Metal Alchemist is a big one. I'd probably say, and now that I've been kind of watching modern stuff, like a easier one, I think, to enjoy. I think maybe My Hero Academia, because I'm kind of catching up to where that show's at now, and that's a pretty fun one, and it's kind of superhero related. It's closer to, if you're on the comic book side of things, you can kind of meet there.
Yeah.
And then Jujutsu Kaisen to me was just phenomenal, man. That especially that second season, man. We had Mark's godson on, and he broke it down for us even more. And that show is insane. One of the best modern, I think, shows. Just from the action, from the animation, from the story, I think it's pretty phenomenal.
Where can I watched season 1, like, I don't know, when it first came out, because I think it was on either Netflix or Hulu, but season 2 hasn't come out on any of the streaming that I watch that I subscribe to. So is it only like on Crunchyroll, or?
It might have been on Crunchyroll, huh?
Yeah, I think it's the only place to catch season 2, at least right now, anyway. Yeah.
That must have been it. And like to me, season 2 just really stepped it up, man. Season 1 I was okay with it, but season 2, man, that really pushed it to the next level, I thought.
Yeah, the storytelling. Yeah, I feel like that whole first season was more of it was something a little more it was candy. You know what I mean? It's something to kind of get the people in. It was exciting, there was action. There were some cool story elements in it, but with season 2 they really dialed it up.
Yeah.
And I think there's a movie too, right? And there there is a movie that kind of like that ties into it.
Is a movie? Yeah, is it the? I think I was gonna watch I think the prequel I could watch, but it's like a hero or some character that doesn't show up till like later on in the show, right?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
exactly, kind of towards the tail end of season 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or at the end, I think at the very end. Yeah.
And he's a pretty powerful character. Yeah.
So that's worth the watch, I think. I think people could appreciate that one if you're just in for the action and the excitement, or if you want to see something that's kind of heavy in some points with some good plot. Good plot. I think that's a good show to get into too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on my list too. Yeah, that was like my honorable mention.
Oh, I will mention.
Jujutsu
I,
Kaisen. Yeah.
yeah, I've got a couple honorable mentions. Well, first of all, Trent, have you seen Ninja Scroll?
Yeah, I did. So if you if I saw the movie when I shouldn't have seen. I think I was probably 11 when I saw it. Yeah, it was
Exactly.
yeah, it was my brother's friend had brought it over and left it at the house. So like one day when nobody was home, I put it on, and then it was great, but you know, it was a little bit too mature for me, I think, at the time.
Yeah, it's pretty graphic. You know, even
Yeah.
even when I was watching it, like I think I watched it when I was in high school. I was like, well, this is even for me. I was like, well, this is a little much for me right now.
Right.
With
Yeah.
with the stuff, the scenes, some of the scenes they were depicting. You know.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
right,
very
yeah.
graphic, yeah.
Yeah.
If you aren't ready for that, right? I mean, it caught me by
Yeah.
surprise the first time I watched it because it was kind of the same thing. I came home. It was late at night. I said, let me pop this in and started watching it. And then like stuff started going on. I was like, God, let me turn this down before the family. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. That one and Wicked City. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen Wicked City.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the animation.
that one. There was there's a scene in there. I'm like, whoa, I was not ready for that scene.
Yeah, Wicked City. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like that mid to late 90s style of animation where everything was like very like their faces. They went with more elongated faces.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting style. I like seeing that. I like looking at an anime and kind of like looking at it just by the style of it. Be like, okay, this one came out like in the mid 80s. This one came out like in the 2000s. You know what I mean? You can kind of tell it
Yeah.
because the styles change.
Yeah, and I was watching another YouTube channel, and they were talking about the evolution of anime, and like there's something very like nostalgic about like late '80s, late '80s to late '90s anime that you just don't get now. You know, like it's got a certain feel and tone to it. You know,
Right. Yeah,
that
it definitely does.
yeah, that I feel like there were certain movies that you would watch that were creepy and they creeped you out. And maybe because I was still kind of like young and like immature, like things like really like just freaked me out. I don't know if it would have the same effect on me now, but I don't know of too many animes now that really push those type of boundaries anymore.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, during the
Yeah, I
time,
don't know.
is it pretty? I don't want to use the word easy, but you can get real creative. You know, back in the
Yeah.
when it was coming up, you know, and
Hmm.
now I think you have to go like, I don't know, you have to try real hard to shock anybody. I guess at this point, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you guys into Bleach by any chance?
So I at the time that Bleach came out, yeah, I was actually into it when it first came out because I think I was reading the mangas before the show came out, and when the show came out, I was pretty into it for a while, but like when it got towards the tail end, I was falling off of anime.
Yeah, me too.
But I do have a kind of I guess a nostalgia soft spot for it for the time that it was out and for the time that I was watching the anime and reading the manga. As far as where the show went, obviously didn't care for it, but I am really enjoying the Blood War, 1,000-Year Blood War right now, though. That they stepped it up for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I only mention that because the whole the Aizen arc was really good.
Right.
And like to me, like that Aizen was probably when you talk about like cartoon villains, I think he could be like the number one.
Oh, really?
Right on.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me do this if nobody minds, not to take it away from Bleach. But so who are let's say your top 3 anime villains? Then who would you rate as your top 3, like the ones that you love to hate?
Okay, I would say probably Aizen. Let's see. My second one would probably be You know what? Go back to me. Let me get your guys'
That's cool. Trent, you want to weigh in, or you want me to go? What do you?
Oh, yeah, you
got?
probably gotta go, man. Anime villains, probably. I don't know. Might be tough for me to answer that
Yeah,
one.
no, I have not thought about it. There's just the question popped up in my mind right now, so I threw it out there. But I know I've said before, because I think we did an episode of the show where we talked about villains.
Oh yeah,
We talked about here, we talked about villains of just all different genres. But
right.
for me, as far as an anime villain is concerned, one of them is Dio from.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Wow, man, I can't believe I can't think of
Is
his
that
name right
JoJo's
now.
Bizarre Adventure?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Man, that is a guy that you effing hate. I hated that he was just ruining lives. Like even before he became like this super powered thing, he was just ruining people's lives. He was a bully, he was a masochist, and then he became a vampire. So when you add all that, it's like if you haven't watched it, the show seems a little like the animation style seems a little campy at times. And
it's a very different anime. I can't explain it, but yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like this weird, like it's trying to be like some kind of a horror shonen anime kind of thing. That's the kind of feeling I got from it. But I do recommend it. So yeah, Dio from that, hate that guy. There is a manga, and I think they've made a couple of anime of it too. The manga is by far one of the best mangas I've ever read. Berserk. So if you haven't, yeah, Berserk is a fantastic read. In my opinion, it's one of the best mangas I haven't read all of them, obviously, but for the ones that I've read, it can, taking into account like my, I don't know, close to 40 years of manga reading, then Berserk is one of the best ones. As far as art and story is concerned, there's no holding back. But the bad guy in that is a guy named Griffith, who at one point seems, he's kind of a little bit of a jerk, a little douchey, but he seems like he's a decent guy. And then something terrible happens to him. We all respect something terrible happened to you, sir. And then he turns into a monster, and I mean a literal monster. And he, in case you're ever going to watch it or read it, I don't want to say it, but he turns into a bad guy. So that's the guy like you hate. I could just punch him in the face. I would. Let's see. A third one though. That I don't know. Give me a second. Well, I'll go ahead and say I'll go ahead and say L from
okay.
Death Note.
I could get down with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that you like him at some points and you hate him at others, and he really kind of plays with your emotions a little bit, but deep down it's like he's one of those guys like the world would be better off if you never found the Death Note. I mean, maybe you would have been something good. I think that's an interesting question. Like, what do you think would have become of him if he never got the Death Note? Because he clearly has some sort of like ego, problems going on with him. You know what I mean? So that's a very interesting question. I had never thought about that. But yeah, as far as villains are concerned, I'm going to say Light. So those are my three off the top of my head, my three anime villains.
What would Ukiura be considered a villain from Bleach?
You know what? I know we were talking about Bleach. I never really got that into Bleach. I respect Bleach. I've said that. I've always say that I respect Bleach. But for whatever reason, between watching the anime and reading the manga, I read the manga a lot. It just never hooked me. Never became one of those things that I was enamored with. But I don't know, Trent, you can probably weigh in on that better.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Who is it?
Would Ukiura be considered a villain?
Okay,
which one was Ukiura? Tell me who that was.
He was the one who was pretty much emotionless, and he pushed
one of the Arankars, right?
Yeah, he pushed Ichigo to get his ultimate form before he fought Aizen.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, he did some bad stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
did he do bad things for a good reason, or was he just straight up doing bad things?
He Well, it was weird because he had no emotion. He had his whole purpose was like I'm Aizen's servant, so I'm going to do whatever he tells me to do.
That's
He
not the
had
guy with the big grin on his face. It's not that guy,
n-
right?
no, he had like the side
no,
kind of side, like the half helmet kind of thing.
yeah,
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 the black hair.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. That's a complicated one. I feel like.
I mean, if we're gonna go there, then the three that I can really stand out to me that I've always thought about, then I'm just gonna go all Bleach: Aizen, Ukiura, and Jin Ichimaru. Ichimaru.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's going all bleach, huh?
yeah. I'm gonna go all Bleach. Yeah,
Nice, yeah. I guess they have some pretty
That's
solid
cool.
villains. Eisen, I think I'd probably put up there also, man, because he was pretty diabolical, man. And then I don't know. I think like maybe Father from Brotherhood, yeah, the main homunculus.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
He was pretty greedy, man. He wasn't really doing it for any other reason than to be a fucking homunculi. So,
Yeah.
and then man, who's another villain? Um, yeah, I guess I don't know. Naraku from Inuyasha. He was also pretty evil, I guess.
Oh yeah, he was. He was.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh, who's the? Oh, I forgot. I'm already blanking on his name from Jujutsu Kaisen, the patch guy. Shoot.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some of those, yeah, the guys. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm
The
gonna
one that,
losing all my cred right now.
yeah, no, yeah. It's thinking of the name. It's gonna be a little.
Yeah. Mahito. Yeah, the guy that saw he touched people and they just like combust, and he was like just purely a piece of crap, man.
Just a jerk. Just
to be a
he was
jerk.
mean for the sake of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Would you guys consider then? I mean, we've all seen Attack on Titan, right?
Yes.
Would Eren Yeager be considered a villain?
Ooh, wow. Nice question. Nice question.
Go
Go
ahead.
Okay,
This
yeah,
is
I'll
more your
just
show,
say
I
it really
think.
quick. Here's the thing. I would have liked it if once the series had ended, if he became the villain of the series. I would have preferred that more because I feel like they tried to kind of redeem him later on. But yeah, it's a good question because I think everything that he did very bad things for a good reason, as
Right.
opposed to
Yeah.
being someone that did, bad things for selfish reasons or whatever, or whatever the case may be. So the level of the evil things that he did were pretty sinister. I mean, because
Yeah.
essentially, like he basically killed his own mom, right? Like the fact that like he kind of set all those events or emotions into event, or he brought them into fruition.
See,
Like
that's what I was confused about with the show, like because later on, like as the story develops, right, he starts to be able to know what's going to happen, and he has to manipulate things to get to peace, right? So did he even manipulate that far into the past?
as far as I could tell, and again, I could probably watch it again to make sure, but I got the impression that he was manipulating things all the way back to the owl, the guy that gave his father the power. I think that he was manipulating things even back then. And the only reason why I say that is because there's one part where the owl, right before he's getting ready to give Dr. Yeager his powers, he says something crazy like, "We've got to do this if we're going to save Eren and Mikasa." And it was like, they aren't even born yet. And then he turns to the owl and he says, "Who are Arwen and Mikasa? Who are Arwen and Mikasa?" And the owl's just kind of staring off into space like, I don't even know. I don't even know where that came from. Which makes it so effing creepy, but it makes it very cool at the same time. So I got the impression that was Eren's influence. I mean, it could have been, because I guess you can see into the past and I guess into the future, but it seemed like Aaron was controlling everything. Like even Aaron's father wasn't able to see, he could only see so far because Aaron was blocking him. It's a very weird power that like all the ones that had that attack Titan power, they could see into each other's past and futures. But it seemed like Aaron was one that had the most control over it, or he was the one that did the most damage. So yeah, calling him a villain, I think that's 100%. You could probably say that, especially when everything's said and done. I think like the story has a happy ending because of him. So is he?
But like, did it though? Because like as you watch the credits, you see like nothing really changed, right?
Yeah,
right,
repeats,
yeah. Or they got it. There was a bit of a respite. There was a bit of a timeout before anything else happened again. And I get it. Like the show's kind of talking about the nature of humanity or whatever. So kind of go to war is always going to be the case. But I mean, I think he tried to do what he could do or what he figured he could do, but. Yeah, he did some very diabolical things, and that's do the ends justify the means? That's the question. That's always been the question.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I say you can go either way with that, but personally, I would have liked to have seen him like they just double down on him being the villain.
Yeah,
that's what I would have liked to have seen.
I didn't like it. Got a little fluffy towards the end there, which I wasn't cool with. But
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he could have made some other decisions that would make him less of a villain. But I feel like he's kind of a villain too. Yeah. Based on some of the things he decided to do. Yeah.
And I think with him, it was just because it was almost like that whole Doctor Strange thing, right? Like he saw like the 14 million. Not that he saw that many futures or whatever, but I think to him, like because he could see into the past and the future, I think he felt like that was the only, everything he did, was. I think because he saw it coming out right in the end.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And the thing is, it's like, okay, the only way to bring peace is for everyone to essentially, like, just like they say with the world, right? If there was an alien invasion, the world would stop fighting each other and fight the alien, right?
Yeah, for a common enemy.
Yeah, the common enemy, exactly. So what he did is he made himself the common enemy, and I get it, but did you really have to go that far?
Yeah.
That's
what I felt like the extreme part. Yeah.
But maybe, I mean, did you have to? But I mean, that definitely united everyone. That definitely showed everybody that he is the bad guy, that he is the villain. Yeah. So I guess maybe, I'm not trying to, I don't know the answer, but maybe you can't go too light. You can't take it too easy. If that's what you're trying to sell, you got to go all in.
Right.
Good question though. Very good question.
Have you guys going back to the anime? Have you guys seen Basilisk?
No, I haven't.
No, that's not the train one, is it? No. Okay. I'm thinking of something else then. Yeah.
So Basilisk is one that I don't think a lot of people watched, or they don't remember, or they just were never introduced to it. But essentially, and I'll recommend this to you guys because I think you would be entertained by it. It is essentially a Romeo and Juliet, but with samurais. A Romeo and Juliet's story with samurais, and each samurai. So I think there's two clans. They're a warring faction, but the guy from one clan is in love with the girl from another, and basically they're trying to join the two houses together, right? But then I think there's the emperor at the time. He, for some reason or another, and I'm going based off of memory here. So if you watch it and you're like, dude, AJ is completely off. I mean, I'm just going by what I remember. But there's an emperor who starts a competition, and he says only one clan can survive. So then each clan, they have like their top fighters, and they all have special powers.
Okay.
And so each episode is like almost like one of their top guys fighting another top guy.
Okay.
But it's all there's a lot of like intrigue in it too, because at the very start, only one of the clans know, and they're like, why are they attacking us when our daughter and their son are about to like fall in love. I don't understand. I thought there was going to be peace, but this clan, one of the clans started attacking. Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely recommend it. It's probably really hard to find. I have it on DVD, so
Okay.
at some point, if you guys ever want to borrow it, I'll let you guys borrow it. I mean, I don't even know if you guys have DVD players anymore, but
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I still got one. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I
No,
definitely
like that,
recommend that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds a good one.
Yeah, I like that kind of. I like that kind of stuff where you take like a classic, a well known or a good concept and kind of just put a different spin on it. So Romeo and Juliet with samurais. That sounds pretty interesting. To me.
Yeah.
That's a good jam. Yeah, for sure.
And so another just to give you guys another tidbit to the story, the main guy, the Romeo, his power is like if he opens his eyes, everyone dies. Like they just explode, right?
Oh, that's devastating.
But the Juliet, her power is if she stares at you, she cancels out your power.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah.
nice.
Interesting.
That's another layer
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's one thing. That's another layer to the story.
yeah.
What an
Okay.
interesting little match
That's
they
interesting.
make.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense why they're drawn together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, Basilisk. I'll message you guys. I mean, I'm sure you can find clips of it on YouTube. And
Yeah.
the fighting is amazing. Especially if you liked Ninja Scroll, that would be like, in a sense, a sequel to Ninja Scroll. If it's got that same feel to it.
Okay. Cool.
Looks
Yeah.
like it's on Crunchyroll, so maybe I'll check it out there.
Oh, is it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Crunchyroll.
Give it a shot, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're hitting that hour mark. I usually do a show for an hour, but
Okay.
Mark, you got cut off earlier. I wanted to ask you about your San Diego Comic-Con experience before we end the show.
Where we did, yeah. It was. I enjoyed it. I know we both enjoyed it. I heard a little bit what Trent was saying. Like we went there on a down point in time, but the strike was going on and all that kind of craziness.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a lot of celebrities and all that kind of stuff there. So I know we missed like the full-fledged experience, but still going there and making the connections and seeing how much there was so much going on. If you're going there just as a guest, just to look around and shop, you're fine. You'll be great. But if you're going there, especially if you're trying to see certain panels, if you're going there to work and trying to cover certain panels, trying to talk to certain people and everything like that, it was a lot of work. And I remember explaining that to some other friends, and they were like, "Yeah, you had a good time." I was like, "Yeah, I had a good time, but it was work.
Yeah,
it was legitimate work covering." And like, yeah. Okay. It's like, okay, you don't get it. But I mean, do I regret it? 100%. I do not regret it. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat, at the drop of a hat. I would love to go there and get like that full-fledged, experience and check it out that way. But I still had a good time. And it was really educational to see what all goes on, in front, behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff, and what it takes to cover it.
Yeah.
That was I learned something that day.
Yeah.
Did you guys go all 4 days or all 3 days, or what days did you guys go?
Oh, it was just Saturday, right?
Yeah, just Saturday. Just Saturday.
Day, yeah.
Oh man, how come you guys even are you guys like, if you guys go this coming year, are you guys going to try to stay for the whole thing?
Oh, definitely. I would. Yeah.
I definitely, because I know they have they each day, like some Comic Cons or some conventions, I guess I should say, whether anime or comic, they have like their one big day typically, and then like the other days not so much. With San Diego Comic Con, like every day is a big day. Every
Yeah.
day there is something going on that you want to see and you want to cover.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely cover like the whole thing. It's going to be a lot of work. Yeah, but it would be a labor of love. You know what I mean? As if we put in like a 12-hour day and we're utterly exhausted, I would go to bed with a smile on my face though.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Did you guys get a chance to buy any merch that year?
Man, we were only there for that day, so we spent most of the day working. And we got to meet a couple of our heroes. I met Terry Dodson, man, one of my favorite artists.
Okay.
He let us interview him too, which was awesome. He was super nice.
Yeah.
And then Mark, you met
Ben Dunn. He's the on Netflix. He is the creator of Warrior Nun Ariella.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you've seen the Warrior Nun series, it's very different from the comic book. But when I was a kid, me and my friends, we read Ben Dunn's comics, and he was ahead of the curve on like the anime influence that was coming in to America way before it happened. So seeing him there and being able to talk to him, and he was just, when they say like don't meet your heroes, it doesn't apply to him. He was so gracious. I mean, he was ready. He basically told us anything on the table we could have. Literally, he said, like, anything that we have here, you can take. And we were like, we're not, we didn't want to take advantage. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he said it was super. It meant the world. So, yeah.
So I ended up buying a bunch of Ben Dunn's Ninja High School books, and I bought like Terry Dodson's art books and stuff. And it was pretty awesome. And then we ended up buying a couple of statues, like we just happened to see in passing. From the Grimm Fairy Tales. I bought the Robin Hood figure.
Yeah, I got the Snow White. Yeah, she's got a sword. Yeah.
So we got those, but we did not, man. We had probably 20, not even that, 10 minutes to really walk around and look at anything because we were so busy.
To ourselves.
Oh man, that sucks. Right?
Yeah. So
I mean, hopefully, like I don't know if you heard, but right now I only have Thursday, Sunday. So I got it Friday, Saturday, and they go back on stuff for the open registration. But yeah, we definitely got to kick it if you guys come out this coming year.
Yeah, definitely. Man. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I was trying to meet up with you, man, but we were there with somebody else, and they were the ride, so we had to kind of split when they wanted to split. So, but yeah, we'll for sure be out there on our own, man, next time, and then we have to meet up 100%.
Yeah. I know I said that would be the last question, but I got one more. You guys got a few more minutes?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So I am a comic book reader. I do watch anime, but you guys seem to read comics and manga, right?
Yeah.
So, but from what I know, the when you compare sales to manga and comic books, manga blows it out of the water.
Right.
Yeah. So, what is your opinion as to why comic books are not selling in the way that mangas are? I have a theory, but I want to get your guys' opinion as far as what the answer is for that.
And I'm gonna say it's has to do with the boom of anime. I think it's become such a different monster. It's like, when I was going to cons in 2004, it was guys like us, and now it's completely different if you go to a con. And I think it's with the popularity of it, how much of a pop culture thing it is now. I think it's just it makes you want to go back to where it came from,
Right.
It's hard to say why that connection is the same with comic books, because when the MCU came out, it was huge and everybody loved it. And I don't know what the sales were for comic books then either, but it's got to do with that. But I think there's also just there is a fascination with Japanese culture in general. I mean, I know I talked to Mark a lot about my time in I took Japanese class in college, and the kids in there we're a very specific type of kid, if you know what I mean. So, there's just a fascination with that world, with that culture, with the people, and for it to be so like focused on in the anime, especially like the modern ones, it's it's in the connection, another way to connect to that culture. I
Right.
think that's a big part of it. I think, yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I actually I agree with that. I think it is a bit of a cultural thing, because anime is so accepted and so like everybody watches anime essentially.
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe because there's so much of it, out there. It's easier they're casting a broader net than just the movies that come out, you know, every year, or two
Right.
movies a year, which is dropped off. But with anime is everywhere. You can go home and watch a different anime like every day. You can watch something new with anime all the time. So they're casting a much broader net. So I
Right.
think it's easier for them to catch more people. So I agree with that. I think one thing with maybe with the MCU and with Marvel, I think maybe they haven't capitalized. I think it's two things. They haven't capitalized off of the success of Marvel, the MCU with the comics. They haven't. It hasn't, for whatever reason. I'm not sure what it is. Or maybe I don't know if they were trying to make the comic books to match the movies at some point. They were trying to do
They
that.
for a while they were, yeah.
Right. And I think that's part of the issue too. That's the other part of the reason why the Marvel thing isn't working. I think there are a lot of, and it's kind of a dirty word, there are a lot of gatekeepers, with Marvel Comics. So when the MCU does something, it's like, okay, well, that's different. And then when the MCU tries to say they're the 616, they're the real actual universe, as a fan, I don't accept that. Like, you can say whatever you want, but I don't accept that as like the official Marvel universe.
Right.
So I think that kind of comes into play too. I think the people that are into the comics, they don't necessarily like everything that the MCU might be doing. And I think when you talk amongst yourselves, when friends talk amongst friends, they're probably getting they're not talked about favorably
Right.
with actual comic book fans. So I think that's going to put off more new potential buyers. But I think it's a combination of those two things with Marvel, and then especially with the manga, it's everywhere. So, and it's accepted. Everybody can read a manga, and it's no big deal.
With comic books, it's essentially like 28 pages for a comic book. When you buy manga, is it like an issue? Because when I go to a bookstore, it's a full on book. So is that how mangas are sold?
Yeah, it's like 6 chapters or something per book or something, or per manga,
Yeah.
and they're much longer than an individual comic book for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think too with manga, like there's something, what is it called, Shonen Jump, where it's basically a magazine essentially, or I think it's a magazine where they have several different chapters will come out. So the same way, like you might read one arc or I just shouldn't say one arc, but one chapter of an anime or a manga is only going to be pretty small. It's going to be smaller than I think than an American comic book. But when you have like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 of them, or maybe 10 of them in Shonen Jump, it's like when you pick up Shonen Jump, you got to read Bleach, you got to read Naruto, you got to read Yu-Gi-Oh. You know what I mean? You're reading like a couple different things all in one shot. So I think that helps. And then when the time came, they could just put it all together in one big book.
Yeah. Because one manga would be like a trade paperback, essentially. I think the equivalent to.
Okay, that's what I think. I think that's also the thing, because like you get like with a comic book, like I said, it's only like 28 pages, but I feel like and I don't know, I don't read mangas, but I have a feeling like when you read like a whole book, there's a sense of satisfaction. There's not like you're not wanting. You are wanting more, but there's more story told, obviously.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. I think a little more bang for your buck, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
true.
I'll read some of the comic books, I'll read them single issue and I'm like, oh man, this is not very good. but then like I'll go back and I'll read the entire run, and I'm like, oh, it makes a lot more sense, because you like you read a comic book and 30 days later you're not going to remember everything, and it's like, dude, what happened in this issue or what happened in the last issue?
Yeah. And it probably comes down to because say Action Comics is 1,067 now or something like that. So that probably puts out people like, oh, I gotta go read 1,000 issues to catch up on Action Comics.
That's true too. Yeah,
it's like a misconception. You know what I mean?
That was another thing I wanted to ask you guys. So I also kind of feel like the reason why mangas are at a higher success right now is because each story is there's a beginning and an end. Whereas Batman, all the staples, Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, there's no ending to it. There's no satisfaction of this story is done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we've talked about that before too. That I know. I think when we first started doing the show, I think RJ maybe commented that it would be cool to just tell a story and let that be the end of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because even like soap operas, I know there's not soap operas out there anymore, but at one point in time there were a thing called soap operas on daytime TV, and they didn't end. And every other country in the world has soap operas, but they end. But in America, they don't. They just keep it going and keep it going.
Yeah.
So it's clearly it's a bit of an American thing, I suppose.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's you one I've been reading the Batman run since Scott Snyder, and once he's done with his arc, then you get a whole new writer who completely changes everything up, or potentially could. For instance, I don't know, did you guys ever read the Donny Cates Venom run?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I loved it, right? And the way it ended was great, and I thought that the next writer would build on that, but basically the next writer pretty much was like, no, everything that you just read, I'm doing something completely different.
This is my story.
Yeah, what happened to everything that we just was just built up on Venom's storyline,
Yeah. Yeah, Brian Michael Bendis when he took over for Superman. A lot of people didn't like what he just put Jonathan and Lois in the background and had a Superman story, and it completely changed everything that was set up before that. I think a lot of people had issue with that. I mean, I liked it, but when you change things so drastically, it throws off your reading audience.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've hit a little over the hour mark. I don't want to I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I know you guys are busy. You guys got other things going on. I did want to thank you guys for coming on, and I definitely want to have you guys back, man.
100%.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime. We'll be glad to come back on, dude. And then we got to get you on our show also, man.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you.
In person or online, whichever works, man. But we'd definitely love to have you on.
All right, cool. Before we leave, where can we find you guys? Your socials and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, we're for our show, we're everywhere at the GOTS Pod, GOTS POD. Yeah, that's our handle for everything. For Geek Off the Street, and let's see, find us on Twitter or X, Instagram, all over.
All the stuff.
Yeah, all the social media channels. You'll find us there.
All right, that's Geek Off the Street. The GOTS spot.
The GOTS Pod.
Okay. Oh, the GOTS Pod. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we'll be back probably next week with another episode. Again, thank you, Trent and Mark, Geek Off the Street fellas.
AJ, thank you.
Of course, man. And we'll see you guys all next week. Peace out.
Right on.